Hi guys, welcome to my channel, or back to my channel if you were here a long time ago when I used to post on here. If you don't know who I am, I'm Lee Kai, or you can just call me Lee. Hence my username. And today we are going to be doing a little story time. We are going to be doing a story time of my mental hospital psych ward experience, because I've been meaning to do this for a while and I know a lot of people want to hear. So yeah, before I start, I do want to add a trigger warning because there are going to be a lot of dark topics that I talk about. I'm not going to talk about why I was there, but I will talk about like the stuff that happened, like being admitted and how all that works. And I also have notebooks and folders over here from them and some other stuff. So, from the places. So, yeah. Just fair warning, trigger warning. There's dark subjects, and so if you are not in the right headspace, save this video to your watch later and come back when you are in the right headspace because it's a little dark. So yeah, if you see me looking this way, I have a document of my experiences, so I'm looking at it so I don't forget anything. First place I was at was Carolina Dunes Behavioral Health in Leland, North Carolina, like close to Wilmington. So I was admitted to the ER for that admission. May 21st, I was IVC, is what they call it in my state. I don't know. Some places I know they call it section or 5150, but IVC'd or involuntarily committed is what it means. I was brought by the cops to the ER, and then the next day, a correctional officer, I believe, is who it is, or detention officer from the local sheriff's department came and picked me up and took me to Carolina Dunes. It was a long drive in the back of a cop car. I was not handcuffed that time. So, it was cold though, but the cop was nice. I talked to him, he was nice. But yeah. So, and then I got to Carolina Dunes May 22nd, so the next day, after dinner. Like right at dinner, right after dinner. So when I got there, I have some little in the waiting room. Then they brought me into the intake room, which was like just a square room with the desk and a bench on the side, and then a desk, and then 2 chairs. And a bunch of stuff, like the patient rights posters on like walls, so. And they asked me a bunch of questions, the basic intake stuff. I'm not gonna go into too much detail, but they also asked you your sexuality, gender identity, preferred pronoun, preferred name, all that stuff. If you are wondering. They do respect that, and they did call me by my preferred name and pronouns the entire time. Everyone did, so yeah. So then they like use a metal detector to make sure you don't have anything on you, which I didn't, but they do that. And then they put a beacon thing on your ankle, which is like a cheap Bluetooth ankle monitor, as I wrote in here. This is from Carolina Dunes. There's not much in here, but yeah. They're cheap Bluetooth ankle monitors. Yeah, and they're really uncomfortable. They use it because they have like iPads, so they don't have to like do as much work for checks every 15 minutes. So they use it to be able to like, if it detects you, then the check is done, basically. That's basically how that works. Then After that, they brought me to the unit, to the bathroom, for the skin search, or the search, where they made me take off all my clothes, and put me in a open back gown, and then they looked all over me for scars and any hidden objects, basically. And then they made me jump, squat, and cough 3 times to make sure there's nothing, which I didn't. Very scared, and they made a lot of comments. I'm not going to say it because I might get demonetized for saying it. But they made some inappropriate comments during it, just for your information. And they make you take off all your scrubs or clothes that you have on from the ER or from wherever you came in from. Put it in a bag, 2 bags, one for trash and one for your actual clothes, and then they'll clean all your clothes if you have any. Some people don't have clothes, they just have like their scrubs and like 1 shirt and 1 pair of pants. That's what I did for the first couple days till I had visitation, and they brought me more clothes, which was nice. And you get back put into paper scrubs, which are blue. There, but the ER is green. That doesn't really matter, but bottom little thing, it was blue, which were just paper itchy scrubs that rip every time you move. So no, they don't last long. They're uncomfortable, and yes, you have to sleep in them. You can always ask for more if they rip. If they have any more, they'll give it to you. If they're out, then they won't. Then you have to wait for more scrubs to come in, but yeah. Then after the skin search, or the skin check, whatever, they took me to my room, which was a room with 2 beds, 2 shelves, things. Also, everything's slanted. And there's also 2 desks with 2 chairs bolted to the ground. Every piece of furniture is bolted into the wall and ground, by the way. And on the desk, we had I actually have one right here. One of these cups of crayons. This is from the other place. We'll get into that. And then there's a bathroom, which there's no door. There's just a curtain that is also and if you even tried to pull on it, it would fall. So it wouldn't, and it was the same texture as paper scrubs. I don't have any paper scrubs to show you what I mean, but yeah, they're the same as that. And then in the bathroom, there were like the basic slanted sink and with like the thing at the top so you can put your morning things when you're doing your hygiene. And there was like the toilet, obviously. The toilet paper was in a hole in the wall because so you can't, and then the shower, which is a normal shower. I think there was only a couple settings for temperature. So I can't exactly tell you because I refuse to use it, but we're not gonna get into that. And the curtain was the same on there, was the same as the curtain on the bathroom door. And yeah. the curtains did not really keep the water in. I have noticed. They never do. And also, you cannot keep towels or anything in there in the room, so you have nowhere to dry your hands after you wash your hands. Unless you're like taking a shower, then you'll have towels, but like you don't have towels in your room, like at all. Unless like for like hygiene, then you will, but like the rest of the day you don't, so you kind of just have to or try to dry your hands on the curtains or your clothes or whatever. Yeah. There was a window in my room, but all the windows in the unit in that place had like a frosted opaque film on them, so we could not see out. And no one could see in. Light could come in and out, but that's about it. Very dehumanizing, by the way, not being able to see outside. It's quite annoying. And there's no clocks in the unit besides in the hallway there's an analog clock. And most people don't know how to read analog clocks in there, so it was so we just asked the staff what time it was. Most of the time we weren't allowed in the hallway anyway, so we couldn't go check, and they gave us a folder. It has information on it, so I'm not gonna show that, but yeah, green folder. And I will go through that possibly in this video, maybe part 2. I don't know if I'll have time. And the folder has like the handbook. It's not really a book, it's just a bunch of papers of like the rules, how the unit works, how the program works, patient rights, all that stuff. And they did not show me around the unit or explain anything. They just brought me to my room and said, you can make your bed, because the stuff was in there to make the bed. And I was like, okay. I was like, what? Okay. I was very scared and confused because it was my first time in a facility like that. It is a Carolina Dunes is a locked facility. I was there for a week, I think. Discharge was a whole other thing. I did cry most nights. So yeah, and the staff was very annoyed about it. Past like the first day, they were like, you're gonna go home, calm down. Like, I didn't know. I don't know if they were gonna send me into residential because I was very high risk at the time. I didn't know. I was scared. As for like treatment, so you'll see an individual therapist, which is actually just like a caseworker, a couple times for like initial stuff after intake, like to like explain all your issues, because intake's a whole other thing. That, and then you go like, and then you go back for like discharge paperwork and all that stuff, because you have to sign a lot of stuff to get discharged, and you have to make a safety plan and all that to get discharged also. And there was no other individual therapy sessions besides that, if you were wondering. So, the therapist will give you, pop-it bracelets, and some staff will give you other fidgets, but I got this one from therapist, and then I got this one from my roommate. So we do have roommates in the facility. So, and then we had groups, which could be anything from art, music, nursing group, which is what they called it, where the nurse comes in and explains how stuff like sleep or medication, whatever. So they're heavy on medication. We'll get to that. I remember it was really awkward. Because like no one knew you at first. I will say it is not hard to make friends in those places because there's a lot of people with the exact same issues as you do. And yeah, you hear a lot of things though that could trigger you though if you have PTSD like I do. So yeah. The music group was fun. We got to listen to music or like do instruments. The loud noises did bother me a little bit for like, cause we had like a music Jenga, and when the Jenga fell, I didn't like that. But it was like a giant Jenga. Like it was like 4 feet tall, 3 or 4 feet tall. And that was in the day room. The day room is a room with tables, like activity tables, like they have like activities on them, like a checkers board and all that, like built into the table, which is bolted to the ground. And then there's only 2 or 3 tables, I believe. I think 2 tables, and the tables have chairs also bolted down to the ground, which are hard plastic chairs. I will insert a picture of what they look like here. Okay. So they're both to the ground. They're comfortable. And then there was a bunch of other ones around the room for the whole group because it was a 16 or 18. I think it was 16 or 18 girls because it was the low risk. Not low risk, but non-violent unit for AFAB 12 years old to 17 or 18. I don't remember if you got switched to whatever unit when you turned 18 or you stayed. Of course, we can go outside. Which are literal, basically prison courtyards. There's nothing to do. Sometimes they'll bring like volleyballs out or whatever. There's a picnic table, and there's a giant Connect Four board out there, and that was it. It was literally a prison courtyard. And one time we went out there for group. And a staff member came to me or called me up after because they were talking about everyone's like discharge and plans and all that stuff. That I had to take meds because I was too high risk in that sense. So they made me decide from oral or injection. I don't know if I can say that. But yeah. Of medication from them. And it felt not fun to have to decide that when you did not want to take medication. So yeah. But I did choose oral, if you're wondering. One time out when we were outside, they gave us mochis. So these are all from there. We got this one. This one was kind of dirty because I always had this in my hand, but ignore my nail is gone. I ignore it. I have this talking. Okay, and I keep it in this. That's why I know where I found something. So one day, it was, I don't remember what day, it was, I think 3 or 4 days before my discharge. So I was talking to them, and I asked if I could be discharged, And they said no because I wasn't keeping up with my hygiene enough, because that's a part of the treatment there. And so I had a full-blown panic attack from that. So I called home, and my family was like, they called me today, you're getting discharged Friday. Like, calm down, you're coming home Friday. And I was like, huh? Which was, I was very confused. So I told the staff member, and the staff person was like, well, it's not approved yet. It has to be approved or something. I'm like, what do you mean it's not approved already? But you told multiple family members I'm being discharged Friday, and they're coming to pick me up. They're already planning on it. Like, what? Anyway. And I did indeed get discharged that Friday, if you were wondering. So, yeah. And at visitation that same day, the person that was visiting me said the same thing. I was getting discharged Friday, so, yeah. The unit was a hall, a single hall with a bathroom, I think 9 bedrooms, the day room, the storage room, and a bathroom, I think. I don't know if I said that before. But all the doors, the bedroom doors, stayed locked in the unit at all times. But they had to stay open if you were in it. So if you're not in the room, they were closed and locked, and they had to stay that way. So you had to ask the staff to go into your room if you needed to go to the bathroom or wanted to take a nap or whatever, just wanted some quiet, alone time for a minute because you're stressed or whatever. Which they did let you take naps and all that if you asked. Meals? Meals. So we weren't even allowed in the cafeteria every time for meals, breakfast, lunch, dinner, because most of the time we were, but sometimes we weren't because there were not enough staff. But, so we ate either outside or in the day room if we didn't. But the food, you had 2 options of food depending on your dietary needs or whatever the fuck. I did that wrong. And they were mostly gross. Stuff that I didn't like because I don't like most foods. And they were like, and it's like, in retrospect, I probably should have ate it anyway, but you know, I'm older now. The second time, which is probably gonna have to be another video. But we'll get into that. So the food, this is gonna be a lot of editing. The food. So some things were good. The tater tots were pretty good. Breakfast, we had waffles one day. I thought it was fine, whatever. I didn't eat it, but I refused to eat for a couple days. I think I ate, because it was Thursday when I got there, so I did eat Friday. The Friday before I got it, the week before. Because they had pizza, and that was good. But I did not eat much, and eventually they forced me to eat. And they wouldn't let me throw my tray away until I ate something. Which could be anything, which could be ice cream, dessert, whatever. It could be anything as long as you ate something. And then they made me drink Ensures, also in the unit, I think twice a day or something. I think I was supposed to have 2 a day, or I could go to the nurse's station. The nurse's station is a room, you can go into and talk to the nurse, and that's where you get all your meds for MedPass, which is in the morning and at night. And you had to talk to the nurse and all that at daily anyway. And yeah. And if you did take meds, you had to do mouth checks when you got out. So basically making sure you weren't cheeking your meds. I never did. I know some people still cheek them, and even with that, I didn't try. I wanted to go home. But yeah, we did get snacks daily. Multiple times a day. I think we got like 2 or 3 snacks a day in between meals and stuff. Some were good, some were bad. We had to ask for snacks during the day. Usually they won't give it to you unless it's snack time, unless you like miss a meal for whatever reason, if you were in therapy or isolation or whatever. If you have an episode, then you go to isolation. I never did, but it was good. And one girl in the unit, I'm not gonna name any of these names. I don't remember most of these girls' names. I couldn't tell you. So one girl in the unit came in like closer to my discharge date and was a high risk of I can't say that word, so I mean, some girls were there for some crazy stuff. I'm not gonna tell you their business though. That's not my business. I can explain another day why I was there. I'm not doing that right now. And this person told her roommate that they would the roommate in her sleep, and they did not move her once. So yeah, and everyone called that specific person that said that the creature or something, which was rude, but that's just what, I don't know. They're different things. Also, you're close, but you couldn't have your phone, any electronics, any clocks, anything with metal, paper, or hardback books. None of that, or strings, obviously. My cat is laying next to me on the ground. But yeah. So that was something. Yeah. I'm filming the outro with my kitten, Halo. I have another cat on the bed right now, but Halo was next to me, so. So I hope you guys liked this video. Like, subscribe, share, whatever. Dislike if you didn't like the video, I don't care. Comment, whatever. So yeah. Let me know if you want part 2 for the other facility, and then if you want me to go through the folders and journals, because that'll also be a whole video. So yeah. I don't know how long this video is going to be, but I hope it's not too long. Bye, guys.